So what we're going to talk about today is our subconscious. I get a lot of questions around our subconscious mind, and I have done an episode before where I talked about the science side and the spiritual side, but in this episode, I want to go into how we activate our subconscious and then how we rewire our beliefs in our subconscious. I also did an episode on how to uncover your limiting beliefs. So there's going to be some overlap here because what you need to understand about your subconscious is that is where we have all of our limiting beliefs. So whether somebody's talking about limiting belief work or subconscious work, a lot of times they are very much overlapping. Now I say a lot of times because you can have a limiting belief that is very conscious. You know about it, you figured it out. But most of the time, we don't even know what's blocking us, and that's because they're in our subconscious. So what's our subconscious? Let's just get my definition out there so we're all on the same page. Subconscious mind is that part of our mind that operates without us having to think about it. So you don't have to think about breathing. You can, but you don't have to. You don't have to think about your heart pumping. Those things just move forward. That is part of your subconscious mind. In addition to those bodily function, things like that, that's also where habits end up going. The more that you do something, your body just repetitively does it. So I wake up every morning, I have a cup of coffee, I meditate, I journal every single morning. I really don't even have to think about it. In fact, this morning I woke up really tired, exhausted, long night of flipping over, not a good night's sleep, but instantly walk up, get the coffee, sit down, meditate. Like I don't even have to really think about where on my phone to tap because I go directly to the meditation. So that the habits can end up in your subconscious. The other things that end up in your subconscious are the agreements that we make through life that turn into limiting beliefs. So if you want to know more about agreements, come join me in the book discussion on the 4 agreements. We can learn more about those. And in my opinion, when people are saying, how do I access my subconscious, they're looking for that information that is driving their behaviors, their thoughts, and their actions that is somewhere in their brain, but they're not quite sure where. So that's what we're going to be covering. So first, let's get into how to activate your subconscious. Now, a lot of people, I think, are looking for like a fancy way to do it. But in reality, there's a handful of things that will get you there over and over again. And so the first one that we want to talk about is journaling. Journaling actually is a great way to reach your subconscious when you do it the right way. So what is the right way to use journaling to reach your subconscious? Well, the first thing is free writing. The more free writing that you do where you're not judging, you're just write, the more that subconscious is going to come out. Additionally, really digging into your emotions and feelings and dissecting why you're doing something. The more that you understand what's going on, the quicker you are going to get to those subconscious beliefs that are driving your life. Now, I get this question all the time and I want to address it right now, and that is, well, I journaled and it didn't work. I'm not getting anywhere. One of the things that you have to keep in mind when you are doing emotional healing work, spiritual growth, anything that has to do with the subconscious and your feelings and everything like that, it's not instantaneous. Very, very rarely will you, the first time you sit down, have these giant ahas, unless you're being led in a process and by somebody who's done it and experienced it. We have to dedicate time to uncovering this stuff. Think about it this way. Let's say you're 40 and you're just getting around to starting some of this work. You've had 40 years of creating limiting beliefs, creating habits, doing things that are now in your subconscious. So you aren't going to sit down and meditate or journal for 1 week and instantly have all the answers. So you have got to allow the journaling time to work. And the way that this actually helps access your subconscious is every time you uncover one little piece, it takes you to the next piece, and then the next piece, and the next piece. So those 10-15 minutes a day over time leads you to those big aha moments. Additionally, when you are doing this work, everything's layered. It's almost like a maze. I know I've used this example in other podcasts, but our limiting beliefs are like a maze. You're in there and you're walking along and you're like, oh, dead end. And you find yourself back in the same place and back in your same place, and you finally get out and you go to the next maze and you do the same thing and you're working on it, run into dead end, run into dead end. And all of a sudden you find yourself back in the first maze. That is because our beliefs are really intertwined and they're layered. So you uncover one layer and start working on something else, and then something else happens in life that re-triggers that old layer. So you have to continue to do this until you get to a certain point. Now, I know this can sound overwhelming. I've actually had people say to me, decades, yeah, no, thank you, I'm not going to do this. And by all means, that is your choice. If you don't want to put in the time, you don't want to put in the effort to do this, you don't have to. This is all a choice about moving forward. But what I will say is if you do it and you commit to it, I can tell you from personal experience, life gets so much better when you understand what drives your actions and your beliefs, and you'll begin to heal those. There were things that I used to just totally freak out about, lose the plot, and now those same things can happen to me and I'll be like, oh, hey, that's cool. All right, let's go, keep moving. So the work is worth it, so keep going. All right, our second way that we can access our subconscious mind is meditation. Meditation allows us to really quiet the mind, calm down, and let information come through. When we clear the clutter that is our daily to-do and our everyday life and allow in our subconscious to speak, our higher self to speak, more and more and more comes out. So you just have to keep going. You have to get into that zone where you're in that meditative state to allow more through. Now, if you struggle with meditation and your mind's going 100 miles an hour and you can't get to that relaxed state, that's okay. Because every single time that you sit down and do meditation, you're improving your mind's ability to calm. You're improving your mind's ability to process. And as you are doing that in your daytime working hours, so let's say you sit down for a meditation session and for the entire 10, 15 minutes, however long you're going to do it, your mind is thinking about work. That's okay. It's completely normal. It's completely natural. And what that is actually doing for you is your mind is processing the day ahead of time. So then when you go to sleep at night, your mind's already taken care of that. It might touch on it a little bit more, but then during dream state, you can bring out some of that subconscious. A lot is revealed in dream state to us, even if we don't remember our dreams or remember that it happened. It does happen. And so the process of meditation can either lead you directly to awakening your subconscious or give it time to process everything so that in dream state you can access that. Now, the other thing that I love to do to access my subconscious is combine those two. Meditative journaling. It's one of my absolute favorite things to do. And that is where you kind of free flow back and forth between the two. You're journaling, you get stuck, you go into a meditative state. It allows you to let that information come up. And as soon as something comes up, pop into the journaling, continue writing, and moving forward. So combining those two practices together will get you to your subconscious so incredibly fast. Now, the last thing I want to talk about that is very useful to get to your subconscious is hypnotherapy. Hypnotherapy is very similar to meditation, relaxation, in that it calms your mind, clears it out, and allows more information to come through or for that information to be rewritten. Now, I actually put this at the very end of one because while it works and it is absolutely an option to get into your subconscious mind, for most of us, that's not something that we can necessarily do on a regular basis unless we're trained. I am a trained hypnotherapist and I still don't even do it that often. Instead, I prefer the meditation and the journaling because you can have a more active interaction with it. I actually prefer hypnotherapy as a rewrite technique to change the beliefs in your mind than to actually uncover stuff. So those are the tools I recommend for activating your subconscious mind and getting that information out. Now I want to go into how to make your subconscious mind believe something. So I'm going to assume here that the reason you're trying to access your subconscious is that you want it to believe something different. You want it to do something different. So in order to do that, the very first requirement is that you understand what is blocking you, understand that belief so that you can change it. So the first step in making sure your subconscious mind believes something is going back to activating your subconscious mind. You can't change a limiting belief without knowing about it. So you first want to work on digging into what is there. Now, this brings me to, I'm going to go off on a little tirade here about why I don't like affirmations. I think I might have mentioned it before, but I'm not sure. So I am not a giant fan of affirmations because most people doing affirmations are trying to rewrite something they don't believe. So if you have a limiting belief that you are not good enough, and your affirmation that you're saying to yourself over and over and over again is, I'm good enough, you're going to say, I'm good enough. And your brain is going to laugh at you. It's going to go, yeah, right, whatever, keep going on with your day. In order for that affirmation to work, you first have to identify what the issue is and have begun to rewrite it. That is when an affirmation is actually very beneficial, when you're already in that process of making your subconscious believe something. So first, identify what you need. Now, the second thing that you can do to make your subconscious mind believe something is meditation. I know I mentioned this in the last one, but there are specific types of meditations, guided meditations, that help you rewrite what's going on. They help you cut energy cords. They basically walk you through a healing of what you discovered. So the best way that I have found to find the right guided meditation to do this is to identify my issue and then search on one of my preferred meditation platforms for the right meditation to help me with that. I then will do that meditation a couple of times. And then most of the time, because I am a meditation teacher, once I've done a couple of them of somebody else's, with somebody else guiding me, I'll usually then be able to do it on my own. But my favorite meditation platforms are Insight Timer app, and believe it or not, YouTube, because YouTube has some really fantastic meditations out there. I have meditations on both of those if you want to check those out. But then the other one that I like, not as much for rewriting things, but really kind of helping with this entire process, is Deepak Chopra does these 21-day meditations, which always have a theme. And I have found those to be really helpful in getting my subconscious mind to believe something. All right, so the next thing you can do is tapping, emotional freedom technique. And basically what you're doing is tapping through some meridian points on your body while talking. You start with the negative, transition into the positive. So in the case of making your subconscious mind believe something, what you would do is start talking about the limiting belief and then how you're going to change it. Tapping is hands down the most beneficial that I have found. It works for me. I do my journaling and meditation. I get everything onto paper. I take the emotions and what I'm working for, and I put that into a tapping script. Again, I've been doing it long enough that I can do this on my own, but when I first started, that was not the case. So my resources when I first started were the Tapping Solution. They do an annual tapping summit, which I highly recommend, which is in February. And then the other resource that I use is Brad Yates on YouTube. I love his tapping. He has been on YouTube for a long time, so he has a giant list of things that you can use. So if for some reason I'm stuck and can't do my own tapping, those are the two places I turn, usually with Brad Yates being the first one that I always go to. Now, the next one is affirmations. I know I already went off on my list of rants on affirmations, but as I said earlier, affirmations are very beneficial when you've already identified everything and you've begun that process. So I usually don't introduce affirmations until after I've even started that tapping a few times. Once you've started that process of making your subconscious believe something and you've already started to turn, it's like affirmations are the boost in speed. I don't know if you've ever played those video games at video places where you get like these, you can push a button and you get a boost in your car. You can tell I have a boy. I know these car video games. So that's exactly what affirmations are. You're on the course, you're doing what you need to do, you're gonna push this button to accelerate everything further. And then the final thing is body work. Body work is moving our bodies and our energy around our bodies to release limiting beliefs, emotional gunk, and to clear everything out. So the mind-body connection is very real. I talk about it frequently, but body work is what actually moves everything out. So what is body work? Body work really truly is anything that moves the body. So it can be acupuncture, it can be a workout, it can be yoga. It can also be energetic, so it can be Reiki, which clears out the energy also. But really doing that body work, that's kind of your final, do it all the time, but it's almost like the final stage. It's that flush out. So the most recent example I can actually give you of this is I've had some emotional trauma in the past and had really gotten to a place where it was completely solved on the emotional, spiritual, and mental level. I thought I was done with it. And then I had a situation where it was being re-triggered. And it was interesting to observe what was going on. Because like I said, my mental, my emotional, and my spiritual were like, you got this, keep going, you're on it, go. My body was like, oh, no, back up, danger, Will Robinson, go the other way. And so I had to go back through and readdress everything solely from the body standpoint. Now, by the time that happened, because I had already taken care of everything else, I did some very focused physical release things with body work that hopefully has taken care of everything. But body work is that final piece to really ensure that your subconscious mind, which also controls your body, has fully released everything. So there you go. There's my information on tapping into and rewiring your subconscious mind.